Shalom and welcome to Temple Talk. This is Yitzhak Ruvain speaking to you from south of Jerusalem here in the holy, beautiful land of Israel. Today is the 23rd day of the month of Elul, 5785. It's September 16th, 2025. This coming Shabbat, we will be reading Parashat Nitsavim in the book of Deuteronomy, beginning chapter 29, verse 9, concluding chapter 30, verse 20. It is the final Torah reading before before Rosh HaShana, which is next Monday evening, Tuesday evening, Wednesday. And it's very significant in that respect because its opening words are Atem nitzavim hayom kulachem lifnei HaShem Elokechem. You are all standing today before HaShem your God. And that is exactly where we're going to be on Rosh HaShana, all standing together before HaShem our God and coronating HaShem, declaring once again his sovereignty over all creation and presenting ourselves as his worthy and devoted subjects and servants and partners in the upkeep and perfection of creation. Of course, we're still in the final days of the month of Elul, so one more time, let's sound the shofar. So we're going to be talking a lot about Parashat Nitsavim in this week's Temple Talk, and we will be I was just going to say, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. It's very, very, very beautiful parasha. It's a short parasha, and it has some beautiful words in it that just are incredibly inspiring and important. But before we get directly into Parashat Nitsavim, let's consider what's happening around the globe today, this past week, coming off the horrible murder just almost 2 weeks ago of Irina Zarutska, a young Ukrainian refugee who fled Ukraine to the United States. A brutal and totally unnecessary murder which left the United States reeling. Of course, that was followed by a second brutal, horrible murder, and of course I'm referring to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, an assassination which has made waves around the world. It's pretty amazing. I did not realize that he was so well known around the world, or that his assassination would have such impact around the world. Certainly in the United States, he was a major non-politician political figure, very, very important in the Republican Party, and very, very essential in the re-election of Donald Trump. But I think he was most famous for his open debates on universities, in which he would simply engage in spirited but completely civil debates with anyone who wanted to debate him. And he was a very good debater, and he often proved his point. And often the people he was debating against, college students who had very strong convictions, when challenged, they didn't really have much to back it up with, because it seems that they're being taught convictions but not being taught how to arrive at convictions or the reasons for them. They're being fed basically propaganda, and they're repeating it. And when challenged, their ability to defend their own positions is rather limited. And of course, he was assassinated in Utah University in the act of having open debates, which of course is at the core and the heart of what's referred to as the American experience, the American experiment. Free, open discussion, the ability to be able to disagree civilly and to have regard for the person despite the fact that you may disagree. So it sent shockwaves, of course, throughout the United States. And what's the second wave? With every earthquake, there's always a second wave. And that was, of course, the horrific response by some people. I don't know, numerically, percentage-wise, how many, but certainly horrific response by some, it would seem, on the far left, maybe not so far left, of glee, happiness over his assassination. Anyway, you've heard much about this. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it is essential for the world that the United States pulls itself together. Hopefully, again, people are saying this, and I don't want it to be a cliche. Hopefully, it will be a turning point, and people will start to value civil disagreement as opposed to simply labeling your political opponent with names that potentially justify political violence. The rise of the support for political violence in the United States on the left and among the youth, especially the college-educated youth, is terrifying. Something is very wrong there. And God willing, the United States will be able to correct what's wrong before things really get out of hand. The entire world really depends on a sane and healthy United States. Here in Israel, there's been a tremendous outpouring of grief and respect and honoring Charlie Kirk, which again, I didn't realize that he was so well known even amongst non-English native speaking Israelis, but apparently he was. Of course, he was a great supporter of Israel, and he had visited Israel a few times, and I understand that he had been invited by Prime Minister Netanyahu to come visit Israel again, I think in early 2026. Unfortunately, that won't be taking place. But there is a connection between these events that have been happening and the events here in Israel also. Of course, Israel today began its ground incursion into the city of Gaza City, which is the final stronghold of Hamas in Gaza. It's where they're holding the Israeli hostages, which is why Israel had been reluctant until now to go into Gaza City, because potentially endangering the hostages by going in. But after 2 years of combat, Israel felt there was no other choice, since Hamas refuses to relinquish the hostages and lay down its arms. So hopefully Israel will be able to force their hand and accomplish these two primary goals of the war in Gaza. So I posted earlier on Facebook a prayer for the IDF soldiers. Now is the time to pray for the safety and success of our IDF soldiers. May they succeed sooner rather than later in the mission of, again, completely subduing Hamas, destroying Hamas, getting the release of all our hostages alive and dead, and doing so with the least amount of harm to life and limb of our own soldiers. And Israel is again being more and more isolated politically, especially by the Western European nations who are canceling trade agreements, and Spain canceled, they were going to buy arms from Israel, and they canceled that, etc., etc. They want Israel to not participate in next year's Eurovision. The song festival takes place every year in Europe, or in whatever country wins the festival, wins the competition. Of course, Israel has been very popular the past few years amongst the public who votes in the Eurovision, but a couple of nations are objecting to Israel's presence in the upcoming Eurovision. So Eurovision politely asked Israel to announce that it would simply not participate, or participate under another flag, as it were. And of course, the Israeli Broadcasting Association, I think, which oversees the Israeli participation in Eurovision, flat out refused. It's a disgusting request. And in the meantime, despite Israel's isolation, the growing isolation politically, economically, diplomatically, the United States government is standing very firm with Israel. Secretary of State Mark Rubio is in Israel right now. Just yesterday, he and Prime Minister Netanyahu inaugurated a new tunnel that was opened up under the city of David. Pilgrims, again, another pilgrims road that leads up to the Temple Mount. And they both spoke very, very beautifully and eloquently about the importance of Jerusalem as Israel's eternal capital and center of our identity. So thank goodness for President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio for their steadfast support, and they have expressed steadfast and complete support for Israel's ground incursion into Gaza City, which is very, very important. And God willing, we will be able to, before too long, accomplish the mission in Gaza. In the meantime, today, just now, within the past hour, I believe, Israel sent another mission of fighter jets into Yemen, bombing the port of Yemen, where they received their arms from Iran, because Yemen, despite some brutal attacks that air attacks that Israel has conducted over the past number of weeks, continue to send in drones even more often than before. So Israel is still fighting on that front. Israel is still attacking Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Israel, of course, is still very active in Syria. So this war is far, far, far from over, and that's the story. That is the latest here from Israel. Let's look at Parashat Nitsavim. Again, we're in the book of Deuteronomy. This is the fourth to last Torah reading. After Nitsavim comes Vayelech, and after Vayelech Ha'azinu, and after Ha'azinu Zot HaBracha, and that, of course, is the reading that we always read on Simchat Torah, which is the 8th day assembly following the 7 days of Sukkot. So that is a month away. And here we are. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 9. Atem nitzavim hayom kulechem lifnei HaShem Elokechem, rashechem, shivtechem, ziknechem, v'shotrechem, kol ish Yisrael, tapchem, neshechem, v'gerecha asher bekerev machanecha, mechotev etzecha, ad shoev memecha, Avracha bivrit Hashem Elokecha, uva'alato asher Hashem Elokecha koret imcha hayom. You are standing today, all of you, before Hashem your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel. your small children, your women, and your proselyte who is in the midst of your camp, from the hewer of your wood to the drawer of your water, for you to pass into the covenant of HaShem your God and into his imprecation that HaShem your God seals with you today, in order to establish you today as a people to him, and that he be a God to you, as he spoke to you and as he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov. Not with you alone do I seal this covenant and this imprecation, but with whoever is here standing with us today before HaShem our God, and with whoever is not here with us today. This is Moshe speaking to the entire assembly of the nation of Israel, and of course he points out that you're all here. You're all here. You're all part of this. You're all equal before HaShem, from the leaders to the hewers of wood. It doesn't matter what your station is in life. If you're a convert, or you were born into the faith, you're all equal before HaShem, and you're all here today standing. There's more than one word in Hebrew for standing. There's la'amod, which is simply to stand. Nitzavim is more specifically standing upright. You're all standing upright before HaShem. Upright, of course. Upright and another form of the same word means what's the word? I was going to say sturdy, but it means stable. You're yetziv, it's stable. So you're standing upright and stable, which is a wonderful way to stand before HaShem, because it means that we value a relationship with HaShem, and that's exactly what Moshe is pointing out to these people. He's saying, we're going to seal this covenant again. This is a new covenant. This is a reiteration, a reenactment of the covenant of Sinai. But covenant always means there's two parts to a covenant. A covenant is an agreement. There's always two parts. There's both signers onto the agreement. And of course, in this case, it's HaShem and it's the people of Israel. And once you make an agreement, you have obligations. Both sides have obligations. So we are obligated to HaShem, and HaShem is obligated to us. And that covenant has carried us through to this very day and continues to carry us through. And of course, as Moshe has warned many, many, many times throughout the book of Deuteronomy, and warned again in this parsha soon after this, in the verses that follow, that should we stray from our covenant, should we stray from our obligations, God will also turn his back to his obligations, as it were, and allow us to a free fall. And we will learn very quickly what that means, and it won't be pretty. So Moshe continues to warn Israel against that, and he basically has the understanding that human nature as it is, Israel will, in the future, at times, turn away from HaShem and bring on the results of that and learn their lesson and return to HaShem. It's happened more than once in our history. And it's much better to be in a generation that is returning to HaShem than in a generation that is turning away from HaShem. And I believe that we are in a generation right now, we're in a time right now of great turning to HaShem. Yes, there are people, very outspoken Jews around the world and in Israel, who are not part of that program, but they are far outnumbered by the many, many, many Jews who are turning toward HaShem, and if they weren't connected before, are reconnecting. And this is a covenant, and it's not going away. And you're either going to be part of the energy that fulfills the covenant and reaps the benefits of that, or you're not. So the final verse that we read earlier, it's actually verse 14 in chapter 29. but with whoever is where I do not seal this covenant, this imprecation, but with whoever is here standing with us today before HaShem our God, and with whoever is not here with us today. What does that mean, not here with us today? Future generations. This covenant that Moshe is talking about, it's not a one-time, one-generation thing. We all, each one of us, need to renew that covenant. We need to renew it as a people and as individuals basically every day of our lives. We wake up and we renew the covenant. And certainly once a year at this time, as we prepare to stand before HaShem on Rosh HaShana and again on Yom Kippur, we renew that covenant for the upcoming year. So Moshe is talking not just to his generation, but to all generations, to our fathers, our forefathers, to our children, to our children's children, and so on and so forth. This is a covenant that lives because it is renewed every generation. Then the parasha goes into, like I said before, into what happens, if Israel is going to turn away from HaShem, which I'm not going to focus on. What I will focus on is what comes after that. Let me see. After Moshe talks about what will happen to Israel, not really if, but when she turns from HaShem, and the horrible destruction and desolation of the land of Israel, and of course Israel's exile from Israel, which of course history is witness to. And then that closes with a very interesting, mysterious verse. The hidden are for HaShem, our God, but the revealed are for us and our children forever, to carry out the words of this Torah. Meaning that there's certain knowledge that's kept with HaShem only, but that which is revealed is for us and our children forever to be active participants in this relationship with HaShem. And then chapter 30, verse 1? Verse 1, it will be that when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse that I have presented before you, that you will take it to your heart among all the nations where HaShem your God has dispersed you, and you will return unto HaShem your God, and listen to his voice according to everything that I command you today, you and your children, with all your heart and all your soul. Then HaShem your God will bring back your captivity and have mercy upon you, and he will gather you in from all the peoples to which HaShem your God has scattered you. If your dispersed will be at the ends of heaven, from there HaShem your God will gather you in, and from them he will take you. HaShem your God will bring you to the land that your forefathers possessed, and you shall possess it. He will do good to you and make you more numerous than your forefathers. HaShem your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your offspring to love HaShem your God with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. HaShem your God will place all these imprecations upon your enemies and those who hate you, who pursued you. You shall return and listen to the voice of HaShem and perform all his commandments that I command you today. HaShem will make you abundant with all your handiwork, and the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your animals, and the fruit of your land for good, when HaShem will return to rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your forefathers, when you listen to the voice of HaShem your God, to observe his commandments and his decrees that are written in this book of the Torah, when you shall return to HaShem your God with all your heart and all your soul. As I posted yesterday on Facebook, basically, does this seem familiar to you? Like maybe we're living through this, like this is Zionism, the thing that so many people seem to have such difficulty with, the return to the land of Israel, the people of Israel returning to the land of Israel, returning to Hashem's embrace, fulfilling Hashem's word, fulfilling the Torah, creating a society, a Torah-based society here in the land of Israel. This is what's happening, and God is blessing us, and God is punishing those who are our enemies. God is being merciful to us. It's not easy. It's not without its bumps, certainly, and tragedies and pain. But this is what's happening, and this is what anyone who is a follower of HaShem, anyone who is versed in the Torah, in the Hebrew scriptures, knows that this is a promise that Hashem promised the people of Israel thousands and thousands of years ago. And everybody who's familiar with the book of Genesis knows that those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And anybody who's familiar with any of the prophets know that a time will come when the land of Israel will be revived and be fruitful again, and the people will return and be strong. And old men will sit on benches in Jerusalem while children play around them. This is all happening, has been happening, it's happening. Israel is 77 years old. And this prophecy, the fulfilling of all these prophecies, the fulfilling of God's promise has been happening and continues to happen and will continue to happen as we get closer and closer to the ultimate geula, the ultimate redemption, the ultimate messianic age. And with all the stumbling that happens and tragedies and catastrophes, we are nevertheless moving steadfast forward in the proper direction. And all those who understand this, and all those who stand with Israel, also will be blessed and are being blessed. And let's stick together, because the future looks bright. If we stick together and stick with God, the future is very bright despite all the challenges that we're facing. God is He's always there. He will not abandon us. We must not abandon Him. Then, immediately after this passage that we just read, we read the next thing. So beautiful. For this commandment, I'm in chapter 30, verse 11 now. For this commandment that I command you today, it is not hidden from you, and it is not distant. It is not in heaven for you to say, who can ascend to heaven for us to take it for us, so that we can listen to it and perform it? Nor is it across the sea for you to say, who can cross the sea, the other side of the sea for us, and take it for us, so that we can listen to it and perform it. Rather, the matter is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart to perform it. The Torah, God's will, God's desire for us, what God asks of us, is not distant. It's not a mystery. It's not something mystical. It's not something that is up in heaven or across the sea that we can't reach, that we have to send somebody to bring it back to us. No, it's right here. It's in our heart. It's that close. We just have to open our eyes, open our heart, and be aware of it, and aware of its incredible closeness. And go for it. Go for it. There's no greater invitation than this. It's right here, guys. Go for it. As far as, for a Jew, it means fulfilling the commandments, the 613 commandments, those that we can do today, in light of the fact that we don't have a temple yet, and many of the commandments are very temple-oriented. But of course, there is that which we can do. And as far, if you're not a Jew, if you're a Gentile, and you believe in God, then there is much for you to do and many commandments for you to fulfill as well. All commandments of decency and of goodness and of being good to one another, and of course trusting and believing in Hashem are universal commandments. But they're here. They're not. It's a beautiful thing that in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, so many people in the United States are saying, I'm going to church this Sunday. So many people are waking up to the fact that without God in your life, you're struggling for direction, you're struggling for borders, you're struggling for discerning between right and wrong. It was secularism can be carried to a certain extent, but once you abandon the foundations of let's call it a Judeo-Christian civilization, then you're going to digress back into paganism and false beliefs and false gods and all sorts of I don't have to spell it out. All sorts of ugly digressions. We don't have too much time left. Let's just go on this next beautiful passage, beautiful, in the final paragraph of the Parashah, chapter 30, verse 15. See, I have placed before you today the life and the good, and the death and the evil. That which I command you today, to love HaShem, your God, to walk in his ways, to observe his commandments, his decrees, and his ordinances, then you will live, and you will multiply, and HaShem your God will bless you in the land to which you come, to possess it. But if your heart will stray, and you will not listen, and you are led astray, and you prostrate yourself to the gods of others and serve them, I tell you today that you will surely be lost. You will not lengthen your days upon the land that you cross the Jordan to come there to possess it. I call heaven and earth today to bear witness against you. I have placed life and death before you, blessing and curse, and you shall choose life, so that you will live, you and your offspring, to love HaShem, your God, to listen to his voice, and to cleave to him. For he is your life and the length of your days, to dwell upon the land that HaShem swore to you, swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, to give them. Ubacharta b'chayim. Choose life, God tells us. That really is what it's all about, and that really is what is happening in the world today. It's all about. There are two choices, life or death, good or evil. Choose life. You know, the terrorists, Hamas terrorists, they boast about, they prefer death to life, and they mock the Jews, they mock Israel for cherishing and choosing life. They think it's a weakness. It's not a weakness. It is our strength, and it is the strength of everyone who chooses life. God has given us life. God has given us a beautiful world, and God has given us the ability to make that world even more beautiful, and to fill our lives with purpose and reason and meaning and goodness. Choose. And God says, I've given you a choice, and then God tells us what to choose. I always call it inside information from the top source. God's saying, okay, you have a choice, but I'm going to tell you what, choose the good, choose the life. Let's not play games here. But you have a choice. Would that more and more people would choose good and not evil, would choose life and not death. Apparently, there's many seductive things about evil and about death that are mesmerizing many people in the free world today, not to mention the not free world, many young people. And we have to, if you're young, wake up your neighbors. And if you're older, do what you can to snap those young people out of it, because it's going to be their world soon enough. And if they're bent on death and evil, well, that's what they're going to get. So let's choose life. Let's choose goodness. This coming Monday evening, Rosh HaShana, now's the time, people. This is it. Make your choice. And when you stand before HaShem, Rosh HaShana, you know you've made the right choice. Thank you so much for being with me. Temple Talk. But before I sign off, I want to wish everyone a Shana Tova, uMetuka, a good and sweet new year up ahead. Gemar Chatima Tova. May you be inscribed in the book of life, in the book of goodness, and may the year up ahead be one of great blessings for each and every one of us as individuals, as families, as communities, as societies, as nations, and God willing, as the family of man. So once again, Shana Tova, and thanks for being with me. Temple Talk.